Okay, this is, as many of you know, I'm the Positive Postman, and I am here for our first political debate. And I have here to my right, Mr. Jesse Taylor, and I have here to my left, Mr. Jason Smith.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna go over a few of the issues, and we're gonna let these gentlemen have at it. So, good day, gentlemen. How are you?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We're grateful to be here. Grateful to
Good,
be here.
Good.
Same.
Thank y'all for coming, and we just gonna jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Question number one, and this will go to Mr. Jesse.
Mhm.
Where do you stand on abortion as it relates to rape, incest, or threatens the life of the mother?
The mother. Well, this is a touchy subject to me, because I feel, even with the law being the way it is today, I feel a lot responsible for the law that changed. I was assigned to the Republican Party Senatorial District 10 for the state convention, and like I said, I represented the Senate District 10. So this was one of the things and I was on the resolution committee.
Right.
So this was one of the topics that was that we had discussed. You know, because when you do a resolution, basically you're trying to figure out what resolutions y'all gonna send to the state to try to make a bill and a law eventually. So this is one of the topics that was especially when it comes to Republicans. This was a big topic. Now, I voted for it. I actually voted, for the abortion ban. But I also wanted these stipulations up in there: rape, incest. If the mother was actually, life was threatened, I wanted those up in there. It didn't get in there. Those didn't get written into the resolution. And sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, man, I was one of the ones that voted for this. But I think we need to make it right. Go back to the table. We need to make it right. And another reason why I felt real bad about this right here. Well, this topic was close to me because a while back, when I was younger, I had a lady friend, and she came up pregnant.
Yeah.
But she had an abortion without my permission. And that stuck with me for years. And so when I became the Senatorial District 10 representative, that kind of triggered me. I was like, well, man, that's something that I want to change here. So I actually made a change on it. But I do think we need to make the abortion ban more better than what it is today.
Okay.
We need those, like you say, we need those stipulations with the rape, the incest, or just for the mother, period, her safety. If it's something life threatening, I think those should be included.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to be here. Very
Yes, sir.
grateful. Much gratitude. So, I think Kamala Harris has it right on this issue. I think it really is an issue for a woman and her doctor. We've seen, President Trump ran on a campaign in 2016. He was going to pick judges from an extreme list of potential candidates, and he did that. He had 3 vacancies, and he appointed 3 judges. And those judges overturned Roe versus Wade, which provided some flexibility for protecting the health of the mother and then protecting viable life as the pregnancy went on. And they overturned Roe versus Wade.
Right.
And we've seen what, here in Texas and in other states where there are strict bans with no exceptions for rape or incest, no exceptions for the life of the mother. We've seen these very sad stories of these women whose lives are threatened by their condition, and they can't find a doctor who will treat them in an emergency room or in their own office because they're scared of being prosecuted by people like Ken Paxton. And so things have just gone too far. And Kamala Harris has promised to return it to Roe versus Wade where there's some balance. And I think that's the best approach. And I think we've seen what happens when you don't have these exceptions for these very difficult situations. And then you also have the situation where women they want to have children, and they have a pregnancy complication where the fetus isn't going to be viable, and if they keep carrying the baby, they can have a baby when the next time they try to have a child. That's not pro-life. That's just too harsh, and we need a more balanced approach.
Okay. Mr. Saylor?
Well, just on the rebuttal, I think it should be left up to the states. I think it should be left up to the states to decide what their stipulation is when it comes to abortions. I think it should be left up to the states. I don't think it should be a total ban across the board. I'm not with that. Like we say, we need some at some point in time you need some abortion because women's lives can be at risk.
Yes.
So I just don't believe it should be a across the board ban, a national ban. I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. So, but other than that, I like his answer.
Want to add anything?
I think we've really addressed it, but it's such an important issue to a lot of people, and I think it's going to be a driving issue in this election.
All right. Next question. Should recreational and medicinal cannabis be legalized on the federal level? Over 25 states have legalized cannabis. Mr. Smith.
Thanks. So, I was never a marijuana user, but I certainly had a lot of friends who used it. In my 20s, I would drink alcohol, and they would use marijuana. And the only thing that people who did marijuana ever did to me was eat my pizza. I think that we've seen that it doesn't really threaten people. It doesn't, if in moderation, we can tax it, we can regulate it, we can take it out of organized crime. And I think that's really the best approach. I just heard a story on the New York Times had about these corporations that are taking over marijuana production.
Right.
And they're making it really strong. And it's causing some problems. And so like anything, when you get a corporation involved and they want to make some money on it, and they want to make it kind of addictive so people buy more of it. We can have some problems, and we need to watch out for those problems. But generally, I think that people have realized, they'll go to Colorado, or they'll go to California, or they'll go to New York, and they'll use marijuana, and they wonder why they can't use it here. And I think it's just the best approach, and I'm surprised in really about a decade how things have changed, and how it's become more and more accepted. So I think that's where we're headed. I even wouldn't be surprised to see Texas make that change in the next decade or so.
So are you for or against it being legalized on the federal level?
On the federal level, I think it does need to be legalized, and one of the problems is, and we had this, my sister lives in Colorado, and when they legalized it in Colorado, well, they couldn't put it into federal banks. They couldn't put all the money they made from marijuana into federal banks.
Right.
So what did they do? They would buy houses with the money they made. Well, that caused everyone's housing price to go up, and eventually people couldn't afford houses, and no one saw that coming. So we need to have, on a federal level, if you allow people to be able to use federal banks, you can't do that now.
Right.
I think that it would definitely take it out of the shadows and stop these unintended consequences like driving up housing prices. Lord knows housing prices are too high. People should be able to get high on marijuana, but not cause housing prices to be too high.
Mr. Taylor?
That was new on me. That marijuana may cost of living go up.
I never would have thought.
No, I never would have thought of that. But to answer your question, I think yes, it should be legalized. It should have been legalized a long time ago. You said you had friends that smoked, but you chose to drink. And we all know that drinking causes more doggone accidents than anything as far as marijuana.
I don't drink anymore.
Okay. I'm a real big advocate on trying to make this legal. I talk about it, but I try to back up what I talk also. So when I say I was also again at the state convention, the Texas State Convention, advocating for weed to be legal here in Texas. It needs to be. We can tax it. We can make some kind of revenue off this thing. We can stop young brothers from going to jail over trying to sell petty marijuana. So it's to me it's more of a me trying to do something to help my people.
Okay.
You know, because a lot. I met one guy at one point in time down in Houston down there, and we were speaking. He had just got out of the prison. He had been in prison for like 5 years. He had got caught with a half a pound of marijuana, and he did 5 years picking. At first, I thought he said 200 eggs a day, but he said 2,500 eggs a day. So this man, for a half a pound of weed, this man did 5 years, and he said he had to pick 2,500 eggs per day. And it just kind of touched me, man. So I definitely went to the state convention, bringing the same issue up there that we definitely need to make this. If we can't do it federal, because I'm not at federal, but I do what I can for state. We definitely need to make this this legal here in Texas. That's my 2 cents on it.
So you both agree that it should be
I think so.
legalized on federal
Yes,
level.
sir.
It really should, so we don't have people having their lives ruined.
Taken, yeah.
by-
Because they take it, you know, for a small amount of marijuana. This man did 5 years.
You say slavery is abolished except for the
For
convicted felon.
the convicted felon. That's it.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Question number 3. Should government provide student loan forgiveness to all Americans?
No.
Mr. Taylor.
No, I don't think so. I paid my college bill. I paid for college. I was in the military and I still pay for my college bill. I don't. If you take out a bill, you need to be responsible enough to pay for it. And that's just my 2 cents on that. But no, I don't think so. When they started talking about it, I was like, okay, this is, to me, it was just a trick to get more votes. To me, that was just something to get more votes. But no, I don't believe so. If you made a bill, you pay for it. You be responsible for your bill.
Mr. Smith?
So in 1986, when I graduated high school here in Fort Worth, I applied to the University of Texas, and the tuition at University of Texas was $4 a semester hour. You could take all of your classes, 15 hours worth of classes for $60. And then they started gradually increasing it. And, and when I went to law school, it was, I think, $1,500 a semester. It was super cheap. Now you to go to undergrad, to go to University of Texas, as a Texas resident, it's $22,000 a year. To go to law school at Texas Tech Law School, it's $27,000 a year. And those are state schools. It's even more for the private schools. And I didn't end up going to University of Texas, but that $4 a semester hour, folks today just don't have that opportunity. And so they've been talked into, a lot of times talked into these student loans and not realizing that they're not going to have a return. And so I think President Biden has done a good job of trying to make student loan forgiveness a priority. And the Supreme Court, again, that Supreme Court that was appointed by President Trump, it said, no way, Jose, we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow that. Even though it says, right, in the statute that the president can forgive those, the Secretary of Education can forgive those loans. Now, what I would really support is if we had targeted student loan forgiveness. That if someone went into public service, if they worked in a halfway house, or they worked as a social worker in the community for 2 or 4 years, that then because they put some skin in the game, they could get their student loans forgiven. Much like the folks in the Army, they serve and they get the benefit because they put their lives on the line for our country. So I think that there are ways to encourage that, and I think it's okay. President Kennedy asked or said, ask not for what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And we need a little bit more of that. We need people to realize that they need to have some skin in the game. And I think we could do that by encouraging folks to give back to their community and then get some student loan forgiveness. So I think that would be the better approach. But with the crazy student debt that these banks are making money hand over fist with, I just think that we've gotten to a crazy point that we weren't at 30, 40 years ago.
Agree, disagree?
I'll let you know how I feel about it. I don't think we should have some forgiveness, so that's the end for me.
All right. Next question. This is gun control. What gun control measures should be put in place to prevent innocent lives from being taken via school shootings, mall shootings, etc.? Mr. Smith.
It really is a issue that scares ordinary people in where they live. The number one killer of people under 25 in this country, of our youth, of our children, is guns, is gunshots. It surpassed car accidents, it surpassed cancer, it surpassed other illnesses. It's guns. And we have kids like my kids who go to public school who we have to have conversations with them about what to do if there's a shooter at school and how to protect themselves and how to get themselves out of harm's way. And we've even had to deal with our kids who've had nightmares about shootings at school. And it's gotten so out of control. It's gotten so out of control that we're almost numb to it because it happens so often. We can do something about it. There are too many guns in this country to start with. There's a Second Amendment, and the U.S. Supreme Court has said that people have a right to bear arms. That's what they've said. But that doesn't mean that we can't have regulations that serve a compelling interest to protect human life. Again, it's not pro-life to let guns run wild and kill people in our neighborhoods, in our malls, in our schools. And so what I think we need to do is start with assault weapons. And I think most people don't think assault weapons have any use in society. They're used by the army in war. And we need to have an assault weapon ban, and we need to lead with that. We had that for 10 years after when President Clinton signed it into law, and gun deaths went down, and then that law was allowed to expire, and we've just had mass shooting after mass shooting with assault rifles. So we need to start there, and then we need to put restrictions for background checks on all gun sales. So that's what we need to do, and it is the biggest challenge that families have talking to their kids about what they're going to have to deal with in the world.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir. This is a good topic. Now, we do no controlling when it comes to gun sales, gun reproduction. We have no control of that. With our youngsters nowadays, the only thing we have control of is trying to work with their minds to try to stop some of this dog-woman killing that our youngsters are doing. Because I mean, right now, our youngsters at 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, even 11 years old is going to jail for killing someone. It should be a ban as far as selling a youngster an assault rifle at 18 years old, because he can go get one now at 18 years old. He can't buy beer, but he can buy an assault weapon. I think that's one thing that needs to go up. At least that'll give his mind a little more age you know, to mature. But if you go in at 18 and you buying an assault rifle, and you're not doing it to go out here and try to mow down some, you know, some wild bull hog, because that's what most of my guys, my friends, you know, they go out there with assault rifles, you know, to try to clear out some of those hogs or whatever, and they have a ball. And I've been with them before, having a ball doing it, but never thinking that I was going to use this same weapon to try to mow down, you know, some individuals. So that's one thing we need to do, is try to get the age limit, I believe. Not just a straight up ban on assault rifles, but we do need to put more stipulations on the age that we allow them to buy an assault rifle. I think we do need to have background checks on assault rifles. Not just being able to just, I'm mad today, I'm in my emotions and I'm in my feelings and I want to do something about it, so let me go down to the corner store and let me buy this doggone weapon. So we do need some kind of time frame. You know, you go there, you purchase it, and I think you need to wait, you know, some days before you buy an assault rifle. I agree with you on that, but just a straight out ban on assault rifle, no, this is America. Everybody got a right to own whatever they want to own when it comes to me, when it comes to weapons. But we need to get more into the mindset of our people, because guns ain't killing people. It's people that's killing people. So I think we need to dig more into the mindset of people and change it there. Because even if we ban, I got my time going. I'm sorry. Can I get at least maybe 30 seconds? But even if we ban all assault rifles a day, I don't think we would solve the problem.
Well, I certainly think that this is a multifaceted problem. You know, we have young men who are becoming more and more isolated. I think that was aggravated by COVID. You know, I have boy-girl twins, and I can tell you from experience, girls just mature quicker than boys, generally.
Right.
And their brain development is just quicker. And young men really, and I can tell you from experience, and I love my young men, but their brains need more time to develop before they take on such grave responsibility, like holding a gun, like being able to threaten someone's life. And then we need it too as a society. We need to teach people that there are other ways to resolve your differences than with an assault rifle, with a gun, walking into a school, walking into a mall. There's just got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So both of you are in favor of some type of gun control?
Yeah, sometimes.
Absolutely. We need more, not less.
Yeah, but we got a lot of young emotional men out here, and they make decisions based off their emotions. And I think that's got a lot to do with the killing that we see, especially here, just local. Actually, it's all over the United States. Especially in young suburban areas, you see the same thing all the time. Young black men killing each other, and they be over nothing because they're emotional and they done got mad, you know, at whatever situation it is. They run and get the gun, and they do it. And I know a lot. You know, I deal with a lot of young men, and like I say, a lot of them don't go to the corner store to buy a gun. They do it by theft. They break in people's houses. So that's how a lot of these guns is getting to these young boys. They're breaking in the cars, they're breaking in the houses, and they're going in there and taking it that way. So that's why I say even if you banned it, it's still going to happen. And until we get deep into the mind of our youngsters, it's not going to stop.
I want to add a question on to that question,
Okay.
if I could, in lieu of all of our school shootings that are taking place, seem like every other month. Should teachers be armed? And I start with you, Mr. Taylor.
If a teacher has a license, what stops a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. That's what stops a bad guy with a gun. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I would rather arm our teachers with more tools to educate our kids, to help them deal with these issues that we've been talking about, that they're struggling with. I hope we could, instead of giving our teachers guns, I would hope in Fort Worth ISD, we could make our teachers the best paid teachers in Fort Worth ISD. So we attract and retain the best and the brightest, and we teach these kids and give them real critical thinking skills. So they realize that they don't have to resolve every conflict with harm to another, and that there are other ways to deal with things, including realizing that they don't have to harm someone else.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Say you're a teacher, and you got an armed man outside your door. Would you rather be in your classroom with a weapon or without a weapon?
Well, my concern is that teachers that I've talked to just don't feel equipped to deal with a weapon, and they don't feel safe with someone else carrying a gun around them, because guns have a really intimidating effect when you bring them into the workplace. So if another teacher brings them into the workplace around other teachers, I'm afraid that intimidating effect will far outweigh any kind of benefit that might come from a teacher happening to have a gun. We saw what happened down in South Texas when that kid went into that school and shot all those people. There was an army outside those doors, and it didn't stop that kid because those people just couldn't stand up and do the right thing. So I'm not convinced that arming teachers with guns is the way to do it. I do think teachers can be part of the solution for some of the problems that we're seeing these young men especially have, to give them critical thinking skills to deal with the conflicts and the struggle of life that's going to come.
You still didn't answer my question. I asked you, if you were the teacher and it's a gunman outside your door trying to get in, would you want to be armed or not armed? And you got a classroom full of people.
You know, I would not want to be armed with a gun. I would find a different way to deal with the situation.
That's for me ain't different, because I would definitely like to have that pistol. I'm saving my kids. Go ahead.
All right. Question number 5. Federal minimum wage. The federal minimum wage rate in this country is $7.25 per hour. The cost of living far exceeds this wage rate. How do we equitably increase this rate to a livable dollar amount? I'll go with Mr. Smith.
It has been far too long since the minimum wage has been raised. It was before President Obama, when the minimum wage was raised the last time in 2007. The minimum wage now is $7.50. You can't get by on that's $15,000 a year if you work full time. That's a joke. We need a real minimum wage. Jared Williams on the Fort Worth City Council has worked so we have a living wage for every city worker of at least $18 an hour, and we can do that. We can do that for businesses. We can do that for government. So folks have a living wage. So people working at Walmart living on minimum wage don't also have to get food stamps. We're subsidizing these corporations who pay the minimum wage with food stamps, with Medicaid, because they're not providing a living wage. If we provide a living wage, we'll actually see the amount of government benefits that we pay for go down. We need to raise the minimum wage, and I laughed the other day. Now, Kamala Harris worked in a McDonald's when she was in college. I laughed the other day. Former President Trump was working in a McDonald's he had an apron on there. I don't know if you saw it, but he was in McDonald's and he, someone asked him if he was for raising the minimum wage, and all he said was, "These are great people." He wouldn't answer the question because billionaires don't like the minimum wage because that cuts into their bottom line. What we need is a president who's going to look out for folks who are starting at the pay scale and wanting that living wage, not the billionaires.
So who would you tax?
I'd tax anyone making over $400,000. Any family making over $400,000. They've gained much from living in this country and benefiting from the greatest country in the world. We have the best economy. We still have a country where people have opportunity to raise themselves up. It's harder now. It's much harder than it was 30, 40 years ago, but we have that. And so I would raise the tax. I think we do need to raise tax. I think we need to repeal the Trump tax cut that gave 50% of the benefit to billionaires. And we need to raise taxes on folks, families making over $400,000.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, how do we equitably increase this rate to a livable dollar amount?
Well, right now, I don't even think it's being something that's being put on the table. If we got nearly 15 to 20 million immigrants here, why should anyone raise minimum wage when these people can come over here and they'll work for $5 an hour? So I don't even see that happening. It's a good topic to talk about, but I mean, to be realistic about this, why would they? If you're working for minimum wage at $7 or so, those are these jobs that the people saying, okay, they come over and taking these black jobs or whatever. You know, that's what our ex-president says anyway. So I don't even see that happening. I mean, just being realistic about it. You got too many people over here that will work for almost free, not free, but almost free as it stands right now. So I don't even see that even happening right now. Does it need to go up? Yeah, it needs to go up to every legal citizen here in the United States. Yeah, they need to be able to make a living, to be able to pay their bills, raise their family. Yes, but with the chaos that's going on with our country right now, we can't. There's no way we can say they're going to raise the minimum wage right now, because you got too many people that will work for that $7 or work for less than that $7 as it stands right now. So, I mean, that's a topic. Like I said, it's a good topic, but I mean, to be personal about it, I don't even see it happening no time soon. I can't see it. Not with all the people that we have in this country right now that will work for less.
Mr. Smith?
Well, just the day before yesterday, Kamala Harris proposed a $15 minimum wage. I think that we've passed a minimum wage before. President Kennedy passed an increase in the minimum wage. LBJ passed one. I think even President Ford and President Carter did. And then, of course, President Clinton did, and even George W. Bush did. If we've got to get to a point where we're looking out for people who are trying to come up, and we haven't had a Republican. We've had a Republican House and then a Republican Senate before that that I think was looking out for business, and they didn't want to pass minimum wage because businesses didn't want it. But we really need it. The time has come for a $15 minimum wage at least, for so people can have a living wage, so people can support their families just with some basicness. I mean, it's so hard to get an apartment or rent a house now. How can you do that on $7 an hour? Well, you can't, but they take advantage of these people because they don't have any bargaining power, and they don't have anywhere else to go, and then they make them go get SNAP benefits or put their kids on CHIP instead of taking responsibility for the workers like we used to do in this country. And we really need to get back to rewarding our workers. We have a economy that is growing hand over fist. Now, inflation has been a challenge, but our economy is growing hand over fist. But rich people are getting richer, and we're getting more and more poor people. And if we don't do something about that, those poor people are going to do something about that. We need to do something to have a decent society and raise minimum wage.
You really think she's gonna try to push this $15 an
I
hour?
do. I think she's lived on it.
It's, I hate to speak on this, but I got to. I mean, we just chopping it up. I don't think so. I think right now, I think she's saying everything she can say to get them votes. The $15 an hour, $25,000 going towards a house, the college forgiveness. I mean, it goes on and on and on. If you're trying to raise minimum wage, why would you allow that many doggone illegals over here? If you're really sincere about raising the minimum wage, why let these people go? Now, that's not a question. I mean, I'm not the moderator. I'm just putting it out there. Why would I allow all these people that's going to come over here? It's going to work for almost nothing. But I'm still going to try to raise this minimum wage. I'm just realistic. I don't see it happening. I see a lot of rhetoric talking to try to get votes. I see that a lot, but I don't even see that happening. I don't. Does it need to happen? Yes, it needs to happen, but I don't see it. Not right now.
Well, I think we're too polarized. I think we're at a point now where our one team can't let another team get a victory. To talk about immigration, there was a Republican from Oklahoma, very conservative Christian Republican, who worked on passing a immigration bill that had about 80% of what Republicans wanted, to close the border, to limit immigration, to limit what was happening. Now, businesses will tell you, certain businesses will tell you, we need some immigration because there's not enough workers to do the jobs that are out there. But that doesn't mean that those people should just live or work for $5 or $7. The minimum wage would benefit anyone in this country who's working. But what we need to do is take the families that are here and give them more of a chance. Now, I think Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. She prosecuted murderers and rapists and bad guys. And the first thing she said when she went to work as a prosecutor is Kamala Harris for the people. And that's what she's been. And I think she has a record of public service. And I think she's really dedicated to making folks who come from who are either in the middle class or trying to be a part of the middle class and give them a shot. And I think she supports policies. I believe it in my heart. I've met her 3 or 4 times. I've talked about some of these issues with her. And I really think that she is committed to what I call walking around people, us middle class families, us people who just come from ordinary families and do well and take care of our families. And I think she's committed to doing that. I hear you don't think that, but I think she's going to do it better than a billionaire TV star.
Mr. Taylor? That concludes part 1 of our debate, a very civil debate, America. Take notes. We have to pay a few bills. We'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom.
All right, I'm going to make sure